do is turn onto Marcy Avenue.
Just broke up
and go past the first 3 lights and then take the next left.
I don't really think she's
5 more
happy,
blocks,
but
and you should be
who
there.
am I to judge, right?
Park on the right.
That's
I'll
what
see
I
you
heard
later
last
tonight.
night.
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat, and apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9/11.
Coming to y'all soon.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. I am your host, Nate Couser. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Hullywood.
How y'all doing out there?
On the line, we have Mr. Damonn.
Hello?
Hey, Damonn. Can you hear me? Is he on there? Hello?
Hello?
So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go to a real quick break and we're going to fix all of this, and we're going to come back. So, Damonn, we're going to call you right back. So we're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com. Can you get his phone number?
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
But when I smoked weed, there was a D on that. When I smoked weed, my inhibitions actually weren't wild. You know, like I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go fly on a kite or jump off this roof or something like that. No, it was quite the opposite. I was very laid back. I actually wanted to eat all the time. Gosh, and I never would get full. And I got sleepy. So I never wanted to go out and do something wrong, like break windows, drive under the influence. Definitely not drive under the influence. Because I wanted to go to sleep like very badly. Like, high sleep is the best sleep ever. Irresponsible child abusers are going to have free access. That's not the truth, because if they do legalize it, they're going to probably put the same stipulations they do for cigarettes. Now, if you are under 18 and you wind up getting a pack of cigarettes, then that's what happens. I had a pack of cigarettes before I was 18. So what? Because they was, cigarettes was in a machine that, it wasn't nobody standing there. Right. You just pull a little knob and get your little pack of Newports and you go about your business. Now they're not. Now they're behind the counter. So now you have to ask the old person that doesn't have any money, standing outside asking you for $1. I'll give you $1 if you go get me some cigarettes. He will more than likely do it. He'll be like, how old are you? Does it matter, homeless?
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, what's up, and welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate Couser, and I got my co-host, Mr. Hullywood, with us.
Hey, how y'all doing out there?
So we have on the line Mr. Damonn Williams. How you doing, Damonn?
I'm great. What's up?
Thank you for calling in, first of all.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So after I watched your video, my pastor actually sent me your the video clip on Facebook, and as I was watching it, first of all, just jumping right out there, I was really disturbed, and I was kind of scared all at the same time, because this is the second live that we've seen like this, where the person was actually in the car. So I was really like wanting you to calm down, but I'm gonna let you tell your story first. Let us know who you are, and then we can get into the day in question. Hello. So tell us a little bit about your background, who you are.
I'm a black man in America just trying to make a change.
There we go. So tell us about.
I really don't get into individual accolades. My work speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? I've been put here on a mission, from whatever God you believe in.
Right.
And, that day last year, first of all, that video happened last year in July 2016. The only reason why the video resurfaced because every year Facebook allows you to share your memories. So a lot of people who wasn't able to watch it when it happened or last year, they got a chance to see it this year. So, like you said, just to jump right into it, I just felt like that day, that in particular officer was, he was just trying to make it my last day on earth. You dig what I'm saying? He stopped me. He saw a black man riding by, okay? He said I had headphones on. That's why he pulled the car over. So he pulled the car over. I gave him all my paperwork and everything. He came right back to the car. He gave me my paperwork, took my car back, and he held my license. And he asked me, hey, will you consent to the search of a vehicle? I said, no. And he said, why not? You don't have nothing. If you don't got nothing to hide, why can't I search your car? And I said, because you just said you pulled me over for headphones. What do headphones have to do with searching my car? So he said, well, I'm going to get a drug dog, and it's kind of suspicious, and yada, 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 yada. So I felt as though like he was looking for a reason to keep me there. Having license, registration, and insurance wasn't not good enough for him. It had to be more. Even though he didn't see anything visible, he didn't see an immediate threat to serious bodily injury. You didn't have a hostile black man at the time. You had somebody who complied with all your orders. All his paperwork was straight. He had license, registration, insurance. You didn't see no weed. You didn't see no guns. Nothing. Headphones. I want to search your car. Okay, and I had a problem with that day.
Right.
Any black man, woman, and child in America should have a problem with that. So, besides the fact of it being 105 degrees feels like temperature that day, in the middle of a heat wave, and in leather seats inside of a Buick, I got frustrated. So then I dialed 911. That's the reason why the sergeant came from
the second officer that showed up.
Yeah, that was the sergeant, Roy. So when I first asked the officer for a supervisor, he told me that there wasn't any. I'm the only one here today. And that's when I got disturbed. Okay, I dialed 911. I explained the situation to 911. He said, sit tight. I'm sending help on the way. And that's when you see the other officer arrive.
Right.
Now, when you see the other officer arrive, the guy who pulled me over, he's trying to explain to the other officer, what's going on, obviously. I want to search his car. He won't let me. Okay? The United States Constitution says you can say no. The United States Constitution says you have freedom of speech. So even if I was in the car, if I was cursing, whatever, I'm well within my right. White people do it all the damn time. They get out the car, they say, I'll have your job. They point in their face, they pick it up, they blow cigarette smoke in their face, but you got a black man who sat there, who gave you all his paperwork, and that still wasn't good enough for you. So my thing was, it ain't 18 no more. I don't have to put my head down and say, yes, I'm boss. No, I ain't I'm not no pushover, sellout ass, handkerchief head Negro.
Right.
Man, my mother raised me to be a man, and I'm in the right. I'm doing something right. I'm coming up here 4 hours away to visit my brother in prison. And y'all crackers, y'all devils, okay, not all of them, but them devils, they target black minority families that's coming up from the inner cities. I don't care what state you in. Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago, LA, Miami. We're all from the inner city. So when they lock our loved ones up, they send them 8-9 hours away in the same state in those rural townships. Right. White people only see black people on TV. Okay, their only interaction with black people is inside of a prison because they're the guards and we're the product. Okay, so I'm doing the right thing. He didn't pull me over for speeding, running a stop sign. He didn't pull me over for turning without a turn signal or cutting somebody off in traffic. No, he saw a car ride by, black man, headphones. Okay, the law of the land say, pull him over, give him a ticket, send him about his way.
And you agreed to that. You agreed to that at that point, but it just seemed like from the beginning he was stuck on the fact that you were lost. Like he went over the fact that you had a headphone in your ear, and it was more so about you being lost was his main issue. That he's not going to admit to that.
Even if I'll give you that, even if that is his main issue, I know you're just making a point.
Yeah,
you're not speaking for him. You're just making a point, and we're having a conversation.
Right.
Even if that is his main issue, oh, you're lost. Why does he want to search?
Right.
People get lost every day.
Right. That was the scary part to me, that he was...
If I would have ran into him and he was lost in North Philadelphia, I'd have been trying to help the man get back to safety.
Exactly. And it took the other officer getting there to give you those directions. That's what that whole part... And I'm watching it almost a year later, and see, I'm getting just as nervous for you as... anytime we watched those same videos, because I knew you were upset and I knew it was getting heated, and I could see he had no type of concern for your safety or for you in general. Like, instead of just saying, oh, this man is lost, let me get him back, even if he was racist, let's say he was racist, or he wasn't, let's say he wasn't, and the fact that you were just lost, let me help this man get back on it. But to him it sounded suspicious that you were almost 10 miles outside of where you were supposed to be at. Like, people get lost every day, and it just...
Right, now let me ask you this. I mean, just from the outside looking in, you're going to a place out in the middle of nowhere, a place probably where you'll never visit. If it's not for a loved one incarcerated, you will probably never in your life be in near Pennsylvania. For what?
Or West Virginia.
Right. And say, hey, we're going to White Deer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, have you ever been somewhere and you missed your exit, and then you had to go all the way up to the next exit and go around and pay another toll and come back? And it's like, damn, this just took me a half an hour.
And that happened to me once. I was on my way to Busch Gardens, and we got lost in Williamsburg. So I completely understand where you're coming from. It was just scary to me that all he could focus on was he kept coming up with excuses, but all he could say was mainly you were lost. And then it was so much that you had tents on your window, and you kept debunking everything that he was saying, and he didn't say, you know what, just go, just leave, this, you know, this how you get back to the interstate, this how you get back to where you're going, just to get rid of you. But he wanted to stop you. That was what the scary part for me was. Like, it felt like he wanted to stop you.
Not only that, even with the windows, my windows was rolled down.
Right.
He stopped me for tinted windows. He stopped me for headphones.
Right.
Okay?
Right there, someone just said it.
Even if you want to say tinted windows, even if you want to say, it don't give you probable cause to search.
Right.
Now, granted, you felt whatever need to say, can I search your car? The man said no. Now, according to the United States Constitution, the occupant of the vehicle is free to go. But, if you think about it, the United States Constitution was not meant to include people of color.
Right.
Period. That wasn't meant to include me and you. You know, our fourth wasn't included. We were still slaves.
Right.
Celebrating.
So,
you understand what I'm saying? So, like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you know, we want to advise people. We want to do the best possible thing to make it home safely to our family. But I'll be damned. If you're calm, they'll shoot you.
Right.
Okay? If they feel scared, they'll shoot you. If they don't feel scared, they'll shoot you and get away with it.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
And that, I was, before I actually watched the whole video, I was really going through the comments. And I was, brother, I've never met you. This is the first time we ever talked. But I was really nervous for you. And not because I felt like you were doing anything wrong, but I could see clearly what he was doing wrong. And I was so nervous because you seemed very agitated. And I could tell he was so calm. And that was the scary part for me. Because nothing you said to him mattered. Nothing he said made any sense. So it was clearly, I just felt at any moment you were going to be gone. Like I felt that in that moment. At any moment, did you think about that, or did that not pass you?
From the beginning. From the beginning. That's why I called 911.
Okay.
That's why I started recording. I thought that this was the end. Like, this ain't no joke. This shit got no fronting for Facebook. People that know me. They know, like, people that know me, like, yo, he wasn't being extra. This is him. This is who he is.
Right.
The humble brother that helps people, that gives back. That's a pillar in his community that just do the work. Like, you don't ride around fucking with cops. Or, hey, pull me over. No, I'm doing it the right way. I'm encouraging our young black youth to do it the right way. Go get your license. Go get a job. Get out the street. Take care of your family. Take care of your kids. Look out for your loved ones. Look out for the sick. Give it to the homeless. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, if you pay attention, the whole thing that everybody missed, because they're so focused on the video, and I get everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but at the conclusion of the video, me, myself, I said to him, we gotta work together, the black community and your community. He said, I don't agree with you. Wow.
Was the second officer any different? I mean, he seemed to be trying to cooperate with you more.
Listen, I'm done giving them pats on the back for good cop, bad cop.
Right.
When they gonna pat us on the back for building this fucking country? When they gonna pat us on the back for the shit they did to us, the shit they did to our women? The reason why our people are in the condition that they are now is because of their ancestors. And them as a whole. That officer as a sergeant, he could have pulled up and put an end to that whole situation. Get this man his damn ID back. Go ahead, sir.
Right.
The fuck we fucking with him for? He got everything he got. Everything legit. Why are you fucking with him? He said no.
But he still had to keep going back and forth. Was this your first time this happening to you?
No.
Wow.
Out there in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I mean that officer, the second officer, he's no different than the first officer. Why? Because at the end of the day, he kept trying to justify on camera, but he kept tricking up and getting himself caught.
Right.
Tricking up, getting himself caught. Well, there's colored, dark-skinned people shooting cops. Oh, well, no, that's just the tact that he used to get you. Oh, so he's lying. Well, I'm not saying that he's lying. Come on, you sound stupid.
Instead of just telling him, let this man go, let him go. How long were you out there, like, in general? Like, how long were you out there?
About an hour. I want to say about, I was late for my visit, 45 minutes to an hour. I was already there about 15, 20 minutes before I started recording.
This is crazy.
That's only supposed to be like a 15 minute stop.
I was calm. I did give him my paperwork and was talking to him like a young man. But he tried to treat me like a slave runaway boy, and I wasn't having it that day.
Right. So
I'm never gonna have it.
So in general, so your work that you do for the community anyway, how are you preparing young men and young women nowadays for this very thing? Because no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how clean your record is, this can happen to you.
Right.
This can happen to you. All I can tell them is leave it in God's hands. You know, try to remember. It's easy for us because a week before this, I was just telling the young guys that I work with how to conduct themselves if in fact they was pulled over, and then not even a couple days later the shit happened to me. So it's easy to say what we would do and what we shouldn't do, but when you're actually in it and you're thinking this is it, this is my life, I'm talking for my life right now. Okay, I'm gonna be killed for being black, and this has been going on in this country for hundreds of fucking years. Excuse my language.
No, you fine.
I know this is a radio show, but it's wrong. It's best that the people hear it wrong.
Right.
That's the problem with social media and the way of the world. Everybody gets a watered down version. And when a black man stands up, speaks his mind, and stands up straight, they get fucking scared. And they run for the hills.
So, in going through this, and all of us has been through this at one time or another, it's nothing really we can do to prevent this from happening. I mean, with everything that's going on, everything that just happened in Charlottesville, and we keep seeing this. And I think my fear for you...
Even the Charlottesville situation, that's just a ploy. Let them come try that in North Philadelphia.
Right.
Let them come to Detroit or Chicago. Go to the south side of Chicago, right there, or in Chirac.
Right.
Have a Klan meeting right there. Go have one in the middle of Miami.
Come to Baltimore. You know? It's not going to happen.
Come have one on 22nd and Damonn Street in North Philly. Come down to Richard Island Projects and have a Klan meeting. Try that Charlottesville shit with us.
Right. It really...
All of that stuff be for show. Be for TV and ratings and all that shit is just for show. Please, if the Klan really wanted some smoke, they know right where to come get it from. And that they don't want.
And that's a lot of people were making remarks in terms of that happening, that they didn't have hoods on, that they didn't mind their faces being shown. But these people represent all the people that are in charge of certain sectors of our daily life, and they have the decision-making powers. In your opinion, do you see things ever getting to a space where we're not in this predicament on a daily basis?
No. No.
And you have children, or you work with children?
Yeah.
So, what type of hope are you putting into them, or is it just basically we just need to pray at this point?
That's the problem. This ain't 1818 no more. We're not in the back of the plantation with a book in a room for hope. We ain't hope. We're dealing with reality right now.
Right.
We're dealing with what's in front of us. We're not praying to no mystery God. We're not doing none of that shit. So I'm gonna end this interview on this. All right, stop fucking with our black people. Serious. Y'all brothers have a blessed night.
Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Okay, well. So that was Mr. Damonn. Apparently, this is still fresh for him, and as it is to all of us, anybody that's ever been in that situation where we are, we're stuck. And I'm sorry, what he said, all of it makes sense to me, but I'm at a place where my faith is what gets me through the day, and I have to rely on that, and I'm not praying to some mysterious God, and I'm not disputing what this brother just said or how he personally feels, because you don't know until you're in that type of situation. And it's always when you're in a space where it's kind of closed off. And me deciding to move to Philly about a year ago, I went to, I visited there for a week and I just stayed there. So we went there doing like a Comic-Con convention and a teachers convention all at the same time. So there were no hotels in Philly whatsoever. We had to stay in Brooklawn, New Jersey. Brooklawn is right down from, I know nothing about Jersey, but it's Brooklawn, New Jersey. It's kind of like a suburb.
I know what you're talking about.
So it's a really isolated, place. The hotel was on this side. You know how it's like a long strip highway. Yeah. So there was a shopping center right across, but it was the other side of the highway. There were no it was at least I would say like a quarter of a mile before the next intersection. Now I'm gonna just tell you, I'm not walking a quarter of a mile up, cross the street, walk a quarter of a mile back down. I'm not doing that. I crossed the median strip. Now I knew that was wrong. With the police officers, they came out of nowhere, and my phone literally died in that second, and I had no sense of direction at this point. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna play this calm.
Cool.
And he said, sir, you know what you did? I said, yeah, I'm not from here, and that was a long distance to walk up to the intersection, and he wasn't having it, so he kept asking me for my ID, and I just said, I'm gonna try to figure out how to get out of this, because this is right when the Freddie Gray situation happened. Right. We were right maybe a month after that had happened. So I said, I cannot show him my ID because it's gonna say Maryland, and it's gonna be ugly at this point. And I was cringing at the fact. As soon as I showed him my ID, he laughed, and I just was in a moment where okay, maybe, you know, he had some good memories in Baltimore. Anything that's going through my mind, but he gave me such a hard time. Like, he went into saying, this is what y'all do in Baltimore, this is how y'all act in Baltimore, and I didn't know how this was going to act, and something in my mind was like, my friend Kyle, I was like, please let Kyle at some moment come out on the balcony, because the hotel was right there, and I'm like, please let him come out. Like, this is not, we had already had experiences with people at like the Wendy's and stuff like that were totally disrespectful. This for no reason. We just got there. Still had our luggage in our hand. We just wanted to eat. I was really nervous. I didn't know what was about to happen. And his officer was just like, you know, he know what he did wrong. We not going, you know, he said, we see people cross that all the time, so you being real extra in this moment. He said that to him, and I just was like, oh, man, please, not today. I've never been stopped by a police officer. It took me staying in a hotel in Brooklyn, New Jersey, for me to get pulled over, and I didn't know what to do. So when I watched this video, it wasn't like my intention was to interview him, so I get what his frustration was. In that moment, I didn't want him to calm down, because I thought he was in the wrong. But it was scary how calm the officer was. It was scary. It was eerily scary of how calm he was. And you could tell he was making excuses. Every time Damonn would say something to him, he kept saying, well, I was just lost. I was just trying to, you know, he made mention that he was trying to use his Wave app, and that took him 10 miles out of the way. Like,
that's possible.
GPS don't care. It will take you that far, especially if it's not somewhere where you frequent. It's catching up to where you are. If the signal's going out, so the signal could have went out and just kept him going at a steady pace. But anything could have happened, and not making excuses for Damonn. He was clearly in the right. The officer he said something about this man having his windows tinted. His windows were down.
And even if was it in the same state?
Huh?
But did it happen in the same state?
It was like the suburb. Yeah, he was like, I think he lives in Detroit, so it was probably like outside of Detroit.
Okay.
So he was a couple miles away from home, more than a couple.
Cause I know in some states, like if you have tents, like say if I come from Florida and I got my tents in Florida, and I come to Maryland, it's really the police can't do nothing about it because it's.
But his windows were down.
That's sad, man.
So when he got up on the car, he was able to see his tents. He initially said he pulled him over because he had the headsets in his ear.
And now trying to blame it on
But Damonn said, he said, I wasn't talking to anybody. That was the GPS in his ear. He was using the app on his phone. So he said that's what was going on. And I get, you know, we do that.
I didn't even know it was illegal to have a headphone in your ear.
Well, in certain states it is. Certain states it's illegal to have. I think here in Maryland it's illegal to have them in your ear.
I bet you that officer was probably in the car with a Bluetooth in his talking on the phone.
And I think he must have saw the cord. He saw the cord. So whatever the reason was, once you do it, give him a ticket. That's it. He had it went at the beginning of the live. He said that was like 20-25 minutes into him actually being out there. So he had already kept him this long.
That was just simple, like you said. He should just pull him over, gave him his ticket, and send him on his
ride. And the video clip is about 20 minutes long, so he's not lying. He was out there for almost an hour. For what reason? You could have just gave this man a ticket and sent him on his way. You know, gouge his pockets if you gonna be an asshole that way, but it was no point of you keeping him out there.
He was definitely looking for something. He was edgy. He was looking for something.
Yeah, but because he kept on disputing the fact that he was 10 miles. Like, why would you be 10 miles outside of your jurisdiction? Sir, if you wanted to be a detective, I think you should have aimed for being a detective. Because you're horrible at it. First of all, let me just let you know. You're horrible at it. Because if the guy, everything is like adding up, it's adding up. So you're making, you could click, if you haven't seen the video, please take a moment to go watch the video clip. It's on our TheArtistExchange page as well as my personal page. So definitely look at the video and see for yourself. And what was this scary for me, because we had just watched the Philando Castile's live, and we saw how that ended. And I saw that live. That was very scary to me. It was in a place where it's scary. And I understand people's anger and frustration, but we have to figure out how to not go to where they want us to go. They want us to be that person. They want us to be that angry, so they have a reason. So if he would have got really belligerent and really angry, justifiably, he would have been able to then react to that, and that it would have ended
up. The cop probably would have came out and said, "Oh, I feared for my life, right? Therefore, I discharged my arm."
And we're gonna get a little bit into that in the next segment. So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Stay locked in. We're just gonna go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Check out this snippet from the new season of Talk Lately with Monty about Jennifer Holliday.
Anyway, let's get back to
yeah. Well, what I wanted to say is that I can understand 100% where Jennifer Holliday is coming from, and that's sort of kind of where my 20% came from. When I basically came out and said who I voted for, I received a lot of backlash. Even on my own talk show, which comes on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m., I was called a coon. Okay, yeah, shout out for the plug. But yeah, someone actually, they told CJ Bernie that I was a coon, and that really hurt me. I've been called everything from a fat whatever and everything, but someone actually commented on his Facebook. I didn't even say that. That's kind of rough. Me a coon, but it's coon. It's crazy because I just feel like someone like Jennifer Holliday, I understand why she stepped down, but I'm kind of upset with her because I think she still should have performed. If you're going to jump out there, then stand in your truth. Don't let no one stop you or change your mind about anything. And listen, no one put a gun to her head and made her sign on for that. But it just seems like, she was basically, she was bullied.
But see, the thing about it is they will put a gun to her head to not do it.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what the threat says. You gotta tell, it's why it's called a threat. You don't know the hypotheticals in there that could happen to you.
Why do you think
she's not a well-known singer, so she's not going around with security. Since she goes to get her tracks at the mall.
Right.
Pow.
Right, but at the same time,
we got a whole bunch of dead cats.
Yeah, but like what she said in the footage, today on The View was basically, it's not white people who was threatening her. It was us who was threatening her.
Right. Where do you think she live? I think she live in Atlanta.
Exactly.
They will get her at the Ku Klux Klan mall and drag her by her hair. Her hair made a cat. She got the new weave.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, here live on BeExposedRadio.com. It's me, your host, Nate. I'm here with my colleague, my co-host, right, my co-host, Mr. Hollywood. He's come back today, joined us today. Yes. I mean, he was only coming back. I think he was only coming back for certain shows and stuff, but it's cool.
It's not even like that. See, you know what happens.
I mean, it's cool, though. It's cool. I mean, if that happens. But on a more serious note, we were talking to Mr. Damonn Packy Williams. He was a gentleman that was stopped by a police officer on his way to go see his brother, and the stop was crazy. It was for no reason, no purpose. I'm just tired of seeing these things. Some people don't even watch them anymore.
Right.
And I focus in on watching it only because this is the line of work that I'm in, so I got to be in on news. But it is heartbreaking to continue to watch these things and nothing happens. To the police officers, continuously nothing happens. I'm taken back to one that was posted. I think this happened last year too. The lady who was the judge, the circuit court judge, and he stopped her.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And he ended up losing his.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Alright. Hello and welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. I commend anybody who commutes for work. It ain't for me. It's not the life that I asked for. But I'm here now. I am Nate, your host. Zakiya is on her way. Hullywood won't be joining us today, either of our other co-hosts. But in the building, we have three phenomenal playwrights and authors from the African American Authors and Empowerment Expo that will be October the 7th at Morgan State University. We will be live in the building for the second year in a row. It starts at 11 and it goes until 5. And not only will you get to meet these illustrious artists, but you'll also get to take a number of workshops and seminars on empowerment, health, wellness, finances, but also they do publishing, how to publish a book, how to promote your book, a number of phenomenal workshops that I got to sneak in and out of last year in between doing interviews. But definitely come on out. It's at Morgan State University's campus, right at the student center, and it will be from 11 to 5 p.m. October the 7th. So we'll be in the building. So I'm going to start with this gentleman over to my right. Okay. If you can take your hat off, because the camera's right there, actually.
Oh,
so
okay. Oh, wow. Let me take my...
We can see you, sir.
Oh, you can see me. Yes.
So let us know who you are.
My name is Lloyd Wheatley. I'm from Baltimore originally. Okay. I was born and raised
and you
here.
Ran away.
And I ran away in the United States Air Force.
Oh, there we go. That's always a good thing.
And so I always come back, and this is going to be an exciting time. Really glad to be here.
So where are you located now?
Actually, I live in Dover, Delaware.
Oh, you just crossed the road.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm across the road, but all my family's here.
Okay.
Grew up here. Back in the day, you know, I was in the R&B group and all that, and we was doing some stuff around Baltimore.
The most important thing, what side of Baltimore are you from?
That's the question. Because everywhere but the south side. Because when we was coming up back then, you moved on the north side, the west side, the east side. But I left, you know, from the west side.
Okay,
you know, started on the east side.
You good.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
You got credibility. You got credibility.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your book. This is a brief synopsis before we get into the conversation.
The story really is it's an action drama.
Okay.
Okay. And it's set in a time of history in the 1800s, and it's superimposed in the factual time of history where the people are interacting with real people in history that were contributors to American history, and they were predominantly African American and Native Americans.
When did you become a history buff?
Became a history buff really after I flunked it.
That'll help you. That'll get the gears moving.
In junior high, but no, it was after that. About 19, 20 years ago, I saw some people talking on radios, actually on a television station out of Baltimore. Okay. And they were doing a reenactment of Civil War people, and the guy mentioned one of the U.S. Marshals. So as I researched, it started expanding from there. So I said, let's give two things. We want to have entertainment, but we also want to have a teaching moment, so we can actually have some history involved with people that you don't normally probably wouldn't recognize right away. But they're abolitionists, they're authors, they're inventors. A lot of inventors are in there.
So will we get the Wheatley roots at some point?
Yeah.
That far,
yeah, you know, there's one I did trace, and Phyllis Wheatley. Of course, she was, but she's not. We're not related. I tried to make that connection, but she's not. But
history is so blurred. You never know.
Literary freedom. That's what allows you to do it. But no, my family is from Cambridge, Maryland, and actually they're right down from Harriet Tubman, which was at Church Creek. So they're right in Smithville. And that's where the Wheatleys and the Wilsons were. My father grew up there, and he would take me from here down there when I was a kid to visit my grandparents a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
we're going to go right on around. We'll go to you because we got the camera lady over here.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you from.
Okay, hi. I'm Renee McDonald. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up here. I was born in Baltimore. I went to Lamell Junior High School.
Oh, I just taught that this summer.
Oh, yes. I loved Lamell. Loved it. Loved it.
Oh, that's right. You went to history summer school.
And right. Graduated from Forest Park High School. Then later got 2 bachelor's degrees from Morgan State University.
We'll forgive you. Hop in.
Oh, no. Morgan all the way.
Sometimes. So tell us just a brief synopsis of your book.
Okay, the name of my book is No Peace for Kimberly.
Okay.
It's a book that highlights the life of a 13-year-old girl growing up in Baltimore during the 1968 riots.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was a trying time for most African Americans, and especially in Baltimore. But remember, most people, when they think about that time, they think about adults. They think about how the city handled things, but not children. This young lady not only had to put up with the riots, but she had to put up with a household that was less than perfect, and that her mother was very hard on her. She was almost enslaved by her own mother, but she ended up in incidences which really made her grow up. But during that time, she had to actually think about, do I really want to live or not? So the book goes into all of these events in which she got herself caught up in because of the fact that her mother was somewhat abusive.
Yeah.
All right. So
everybody had given circumstances where nothing changed because of the riots or what happened.
Right. So she had two things going on. She had the riots in Baltimore, which ultimately affected her family in more than one way. Yeah, she had a little brother that was shot, and she had one brother that became a member of the Black Panthers. So
the house divided.
Yes, exactly. So the young lady goes through a lot during the book. It's to the point where she hated her mother, and when you read the book, you would hate her mother also. So that's a synopsis of the book. I'm not going to tell you anymore.
You gotta buy the book.
You gotta buy the book. Yes.
That sounds like a play to me. That sounds like a stage. Not I hate saying the word stage play, but that sounds like a play to me. Theater.
Yeah, I was considering converting it to a play.
Well, I'm an actor. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. You know.
Yeah.
I may not pass with a little girl, but you know, it's something.
No, we're moving the house to a movie.
Oh, see?
We want to move it to a movie, television. That's where we're going.
Yeah. But there are plenty of parts in the play for you.
See, and there's no such thing as a small part.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right.
Last but certainly not least.
Hi, my name is Tammy Woodard, and
I'm
a co-author of a book of anthology called Soul Talk. It is an anthology of 20 women, and we're giving our personal testimony of the obstacles in life that we've overcome. It's almost like a how-to guide for anyone that is going through whatever it is. There are examples of domestic violence, drug abuse. There's a story where one of the young ladies was a child soldier in Africa. My story where I talk about how I felt growing up, being adopted, and how those feelings transpired on into my adult life and the decisions that I made. These stories are powerful stories, that they're true stories. These women have decided to unmask and walk boldly in their truth. The anthology came about because of a very powerful woman of God by the name of Cheryl Pelote Williamson. And it was her vision to birth Soul Talk. And I'm just so happy I said yes and to be a part of this journey to change many lives.
So each person either writes their own part of the anthology or they become a part of the collective. So is it multiple people that write one book, or? It's
one book. It's a collaboration, and each author has their own chapter.
Okay.
And in that chapter, they are giving their own personal testimony. It's followed up with scriptures. We talk about how we got through those obstacles in our life, and it kind of gives the reader a chance to say, "Wow, if they made it through, then so can I."
And you said you were adopted, or you just were in the system?
No, I was adopted.
Okay.
For many years, I was a foster child in the earlier stages, and then when I was about 9, I became legally adopted. And I won't tell you the story because you got to read the book.
You got to read the book.
But it just kind of gave a general idea of there are a lot of kids that are in foster care, and even though for me, I was one that always smiled. And I mean, even to this day, when you see me, I'm smiling. You'll never guess what's going on in my life. And that's how I was growing up. And so people don't realize...
It's a sink or swim mentality that you develop even as a child.
Absolutely. And people don't realize the things that children go through. Just in general. But being a foster child, I mean, there are things that you go through emotionally and mentally that people don't have any clue. And for me, I wanted to get that out there so that people can get a chance to understand that, okay, wow.
It is that, and my mother was a foster kid parent for a number of years before she decided to adopt the last, and it sounds crazy, the last group of children that she had, because she was moving to another phase of her life, and she didn't want to be a railroad stop because it emotionally, like, me and my sister were getting attached to the young people. We had a situation where we had a mother and child that were both children, and she just decided once she turned 18 she wanted to be on her own, and my mother and grandmother had got attached to the baby and to her, but definitely to the baby, and that system could be just tremendous on the heart of these young people, because nobody understands what if you had to wake up and then you were in another home, or you were taken from this home and then you was put just shuffled through without anybody really realizing what is that doing to you. We're helping you with the initial problem, but now we're developing a whole nother set of issues for you, and you have attachment issues and so on and so forth. There's a comedian that's starting to raise in the ranks now, Tiffany Haddish, that her whole stand-up is about her life as a foster kid in the foster care system, and it's even me living in a home with some of these young people coming to us with their stories. That doesn't reach the iceberg of what is going on, because I just so happen to have a mother that was doing what she was supposed to do with these young people, and they're coming from homes that, you know, they were only there for the money, or, you know,
Absolutely.
They were with family that didn't really care for them, or it just that's like a real soft spot for me, because you just never know what's going on, and some of the children don't talk about it.
Right.
They just deal with it, and then they outburst when they either adults or at some point in their childhood, and you just never know. They're like ticking time bombs if you don't deal with the issue. So that's a really interesting. I value that. I really but you have another book that you're working on as well.
I'm in the process of writing an anthology, and this one will be a testimony. We had such a tremendous response from Soul Talk, and you know, people coming up saying, you know, you don't know how this blessed me. I could see things, I could see bits and pieces of me in each story. There's one young lady who said that, you know, she saw herself in that story, in my story. And so it was just so overwhelming, and it's very important. We all have a story to tell, but most of us are afraid of what people are going to say, how people are going to look at us. People see the outward part of us, but they don't see the inner part of us, and they don't know what we've gone through. They see that mask, but they don't know what's behind the scene, or what it took for us to get to that point. So for me, the new book, which is entitled Beyond Her Reflection.
Okay.
You know, to
sound
me,
like a sermon about to come.
Oh, absolutely.
I got a testimony. Go for it.
It's very powerful, because we all look in the mirror.
Right.
In Soul Talk, I talk about my mirror experience, and that's kind of where Beyond Her Reflection came from, because we look in the mirror and we'll get ourselves groomed, you know, for women, put on our lipstick, make sure our hair's done. Men, you know, make sure you shave.
Get spiffy.
Yeah, you guys get spiffy and handsome and lined up and all of that. But how often do you really look in the mirror and say, who am I?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, what is my purpose in life?
Right.
That's a hard thing to do.
It is a hard thing to do. And for me, that's what I had to do in order for me to go through the process of discovering what my purpose was. I had to stand in that mirror and say, okay, God, what is my purpose? You know, what is it that I'm here for? And so when I thought about, okay, this new anthology, because more stories need to be told. People need to understand, because, you know, a lot of times, and even in our churches, they see ministers, they see, you know, people in the church that are, they look good, they got their suits, they got their hats on, but nobody wants to tell the story of how
that's just the package.
One day they might have been a drug dealer on the street, or they might have been a prostitute, or, you know, vice versa. I mean, things that they're dealing with, you know, because everybody's so dressed up. So for me, writing Beyond Her Reflection, which that's going to be a powerful book as well, because there's going to be some testimonies in there that's going to blow some people away, because they had no clue that these folks had gone through that.
Well, we going to end on that note. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. So you thought this was just going to be a couple authors that's just going to diddle-daddle. Gotcha. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
My name is Ruth Rusey. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusey. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Talk Lately with Monty about Jennifer Holliday.
Anyway, let's get back to
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say is that I can understand 100% where Jennifer Holliday is coming from, and that's sort of kind of where my 20% came from. When I basically came out and said who I voted for, I received a lot of backlash. Even on my own talk show, which comes on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m., I was called a coon. Okay, yeah, shout out for the plug. But yeah, someone actually, they told CJ Bernie that I was a coon, and that really hurt me. I've been called everything from a fat whatever and everything, but someone actually commented on his Facebook
I didn't even
Live
say that. That's kind of rough.
Called me a coon, but it's like it's crazy because I just feel like someone like Jennifer Holliday. I understand why she stepped down, but I'm kind of upset with her because I think she still should have performed. If you're gonna jump out there, then stand in your truth. Don't let no one stop you or change your mind about anything. And listen, no one put a gun to her head and made her sign on for that. But it just seems like, she was basically, she was bullied.
But see, the thing about it is they will put a gun to her head to not do it.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what the threat says. You gotta say, it's why it's called a threat. You don't know the hypotheticals in there that could happen to you.
Why do you think
she's not a well-known singer, so she's not going around with security. Since she goes to get her tracks at the mall.
Right.
Pow.
Right, but at the same time,
now we got a whole bunch of dead cats.
Yeah, but like what she said in the footage, today on The View was basically it's not white people who was threatening her. It was us who was threatening her.
Right. Where do you think she live? I think she live in Atlanta.
Exactly.
They gonna get her at the Ku Klux Klan mall and drag her by her hair. Her hair made a cat. She got the new weave.
I don't have Jennifer Holliday money, honey.
Yeah,
I don't know what it might be because it's. I don't got Jennifer Holliday money, but me personally, I feel as though like I said, once I kind of came out, and even being on this show, because I'm pretty sure the headline says Trump supporter, I'm putting a lot of myself out there. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com. Hey everybody, it's Monty, the executive producer here at BeExposedRadio.com, and I'm here to talk about my show. I know, how selfish, right? Talk Lately with me, Monty. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. So what do we talk about on this show? I can tell you this, there has never been a show that I have gotten completely through the full agenda because our topics, our conversations are just that damn good. I cover politics, gossip, entertainment, and hey, I love a good panel discussion. Hey, get a group of people in here and let us debate it out. That is the best thing in the world. Not to mention I take calls and texts, and I'll debate with you too. So why don't you get involved and be heard?
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
You know, it's that one person in your life that they matter.
Yeah.
If nobody else does, and for me, that's my mother.
Absolutely. Yeah,
so
that's
so
good.
Writing could be cathartic, and you get out a lot of those emotions and stuff like that. But it's still real.
Right.
You know, and one of the things is I didn't want my mother to feel like I was blaming her for anything, because at this point, being 34, I understand, you know, a little bit more, but I understand now that things happen. It's given circumstances. Things happen to you for a reason, you know, and it's not always because you did something. It's because you were supposed to learn something or somebody else.
And that's exactly what this book is about. I say that the mother is abusive, but it's not physical. But what she's trying to do is to get this girl. She's a nice girl. She's gullible. Anybody asks her to do anything, she's going to say yes, whether or not it's right or wrong. That came from me as a child, and still as an adult, I found myself like that to a point. Right, and her mother.
Empaths.
Right, in the '60s, you really had to make sure your kids were really ready for the world. And she saw that this young girl was not, so she was really hard on her. A lot of people look at it as abuse. Yeah, it could have been when you read the book, it was like there's no way a mother should do what she did.
But a lot of those stories need to be summed up with a parent or a guardian, somebody telling them, communicating why I am being hard on you. Why, and that's only the thing that's missing. So for me, I was abused as a child. To somebody looking in, oh, this was horrible. You are a terrible person. You know, or somebody sees it from the parent's perspective, where look what just happened. Why is there a riot right now? Somebody was just assassinated.
Well, I was going to say, and I'm dating myself a little bit. But yeah, from the era we came through, discipline wasn't a bad word. And when you had corporal punishment, discipline, meaning you got whipped, smacked.
I got spanked. Oh yeah, you didn't do that.
Like that because parents, to your point, actually did do things. You didn't understand it, but they understood it because that's why they're the parent, and you're the child. You're learning some things, and you will get them by direction, and then the next thing you're going to get is a matter of. Just experience down the line, you're going to recognize, I remember when they did this to me. This actually made a change. Now I know why my mother said this. Oh, I know why my father said this. My kids tell me that today. I hear them and I talk with them. And they say, I remember when you said, and I look like, what, you remember that? They were like 12 and stuff. They in their 30s. I'm like, what? You remember that stuff? And they like, I was at one of those I was in a watershed moment, and it was one of those things, and your voice came right to my mind. I'm like,
and
that
goes to me all the time.
All the time. Always made the best decision in that moment. Right. But they at least had another option. So this was what I'm being faced with. This is what I was told to do. And most times, if they don't have that option, they're gonna always choose the latter.
That's right.
So at least they have like,
wait a minute.
But even if they choose that, they in their mind can justify I had an option.
Exactly.
And somebody did give me something else to go with.
And the other part of that, Nate, is you were being a role model. The parent was being a
standard.
A standbearer.
Yes.
They were actually putting something, and their value was being shaped.
Yes.
At home with those things. And so, to your point, when times get to a part where you have to go back and out of nowhere you get a draw and you say, well, you know what? I do remember. And now I have, but just imagine you didn't have that. What if no one said any of that into you? Where's your choice now?
I'm in my 30s too, so I think we're the generation where our parents were kind of like, the abuse was too much.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said discipline wasn't a bad thing. Yeah, you're right now, and it's like, well, except I do recall already a television spot where, and I mean, this got national attention nationwide. There was some issues going on in Baltimore after the thing up here on the
Freddie Gray?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
mother came out, and so when they saw her come out, people applauded that.
Oh yes.
Because they was like, there you have
down at
a
Douglas High
proactive
School.
parent
The mother came
who
out
comes
and
out and says, "What are you doing out
Exactly.
here?" See, discipline's not a bad thing.
Oh, that was great.
That was great.
That was great.
It was like maybe the older millennials that didn't understand that. Like like I said, we're teetering on parents that was like, I'm never going to treat my child like that, to the parents that this is what is the standard. And I remember saying that, and my mother is 5'2", and I still have the same fear, healthy fear in her that I've always had, and I couldn't understand. But that mother said she saw her child in the midst of all those other children.
They were at Damonn Mall.
Right, and she was standing across the street, and she said and her child had a hoodie on. She spotted her child.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
She said all the thing that went through her mind is what could have happened to her child if she wasn't there.
Exactly.
And that she reacted to that.
Right.
So I didn't have an issue with that because I think I got a spanking a couple times. Right. But it was more so I needed it. I was playing with fire. Like, you don't do that.
Right. He said I needed it.
Right. I can recognize that now.
Yes, you did.
Right.
But I bet you when you were getting a spanking, you didn't think that you needed it. But now,
my mother was an explainer while she was doing it.
Don't you hate that? Didn't I tell you never? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
Fire is hot now.
Yeah.
Don't touch fire.
Yes.
But
burn down the house, man. Right. Burn down the house.
Almost. I just like the feel of it. I don't know what it was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
no more. I had issue no more.
My mother was 4'11", and when she came up to, I was acting like a fool. I was at City College High School, and I was.
And you went to City?
Yeah, I went to City. I was City Night.
City Morgan in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I go, and she came up there. I'm telling you what, she was 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the spirit and power she brought in there, and I never forget it. She said, if I ever have to come up to this school for you again, you're gonna be embarrassed in front of your friends, right? And I was like, and look, I'm sitting there. Look, I'm like 17. I'm trying to bow up, but that lady was 10 feet tall. And I have to say,
mad because she just walked up that hill too.
From that point, it scared me to such a point. I went through undergraduate and graduate school at the top of my class.
Oh, excellent.
You know, and they was like, what happened? I said, my mother came up and threatened me when I was in 11th grade. And she said, I was missing school like crazy.
Right. So my question to everyone is, how much of we back home? I'm sorry. How much of you is included in your books?
Well,
I know everybody isn't writing biographies.
Right.
Yeah. How much are you?
I'm gonna say with my book, the reason I really started writing the book was because I was just doodling about some of the things I did as a kid that really got me in trouble. You know, like we were just discussing, and got spankings for. I would say in my book, I say some of the events that occurred may not have ended up the way it does in the book, but there are a good many incidents in this book that really were me. You know, I actually experienced them. Let's say about maybe 30%, but they just been exaggerated for the book. But I did get in trouble, and I'm still alive, thank goodness, because of it. You know. But as we were talking about earlier, because of the discipline of my grandparents and my father and my mother,
that's a whole nother level.
I feel as though I've actually grown and actually, heck, to be honest, living a nice life to be able to tell this story.
Right.
So.
But their children now, like I grew up in the home, my great-grandmother lived with us, and there's plenty of children that don't know that don't have that girth of information or wisdom behind them. And it's sad to me because when I tell people I grew up with a great-grandmother, not just my grandmother in the house, they don't, a lot of young people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Or they don't understand what the difference is. And I clearly can tell, like, this my mannerisms, this my personality. I have my great grandmother.
Spirit on you.
Yeah, I feel the same way about my mom. Right.
Well, I was gonna say that the character in my book, the main character, is a reflection of my personality. Actually, I had one person read the book. They said, you know, Blaine, and I never said the name of the book, by the way. It's Blaine Hawk, U.S. Marshals, the complete trilogy, and it really is a tribute to the United States Marshals in the 19th century, and they came into being during Reconstruction 1875. But the main character's personality is a lot of me, because the person read the book and said, and knew me well. They said, you know, that character seems just like you. And I said, well, it does have some elements of it. I didn't realize I was doing it. I didn't realize I was doing it per se, but it was because of I guess the the whole thing about good versus evil. Evil can't win, and always having some kind of way of redeeming things. And even though you get challenged a lot with atrocities and different trials and tribulations in your life, there's always a hope to overcome. So that's very, very deep in the book, and it has a lot of actually, I'm going to say current things. It deals with America's original sin, and we know what that is. That's racism. Okay, and sexism. So you're going to have that in the book very well. So it's not just a cowboy and Indian story. People think about it. It's really good versus evil, and it has a lot of those things that are going to challenge you emotionally. Sexism, racism. There's a lot of different murders.
Read this book,
it's got a lot of layers, and that was the intent. The purpose was to try to push you and rub you uncomfortably in some of those areas, okay? But at the same time, as you go through it, and like I said, you got to get the book, like we all say, but you want to be able to see how they overcome these things, and they get extreme. Look, they get taken to the wall. The main characters and people around them will become victims, and it's gonna be very, very hard for them, and you'll start thinking, you got to be kidding me, but they will. In some way, I can't tell how it's going to end, but in some way, they're going to come through.
So I'm pretty much.
That's what I was saying. Hey, look, we gotta have a
we make sure you cast
I'm already
for
running in my head.
So you're going to be in my play in his movie.
Yeah.
I can learn lines. I got it.
But I had a law enforcement background a little bit in the military and all, and so I was always partial to that whole mindset about law and order.
So we'll get into that in the next segment, because I want to get your opinion on some of when I was reading you about what's going on now with the police departments and when you are a man of color in those forces, what is your responsibility to equality and justice? Because a lot of people don't say anything. Miss Woodard?
Yes.
Let me get your point of view.
I'm 100% in my story. It's my story. It's, when you read it, you get to know more about me.
So it's more art therapy for you? Is it?
Yes, yes. I would say the average person, there's things that everybody knew about me, but there's a whole lot that people did not know.
Okay.
And that was because I was good at wearing the mask.
When did you decide to start unveiling or peeling away them layers?
The title of my chapter is From the Pit to the Promises of God. And it was one of those pit moments, and coming out of that pit moment, that I knew I had to share my story with others, because there's, as I said, mine is a chronological sketch of my life. And I knew that there were people that I could identify with each area of my life at some point, whether it was the adoption, whether it was going through divorce, whether it was I have well, he's 15 years old now, but I had a son who was born premature, 4 months early, 1 pound 9 ounces, and just going through that and just trusting in God, that because that, you know, when your back is against the wall, there are a lot of times people can't help you. The only person that you can count on and call on is God, and for me, that's what happened throughout my entire life.
Right.
And so going through, I would say the hardest part of my life was going through my divorce, when I describe that as death. Because it's a death of a marriage, and you go through a grieving process. And for me, that was hard, because the majority of my adult life I had been in this marriage. So coming out of that, that's when I discovered my purpose, because then I had to go back and look at my past and figure out, why did you go through all these things?
So we're going to take a quick break. It's getting deep. Getting deep. We're going to add another 2 hours to this, but we'll be right back here to the Artist Exchange radio show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is your girl, the one and only Thick Cows. Check us out every Saturday from 5 to 7, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
I was talking about overall. No, two.
That was Uber.
That wasn't Uber.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
Yeah, that was Uber.
That situation with Uber, I think they told us about.
But this guy, you know, my whole thing is pay attention. You know, I don't know if this dude was trying to get home or something, but he was speeding. Now I'm with the flow, like, do your thing. But when you taking me out of my way and you speeding, little suspect, trying to get my butt.
Like the Clemson guy from the Ohio State game.
Trying to
What?
Yes. Yeah. Now, he picked me up from my job, right? And I'm telling him where to go. He refused not to go. And you're speeding. So I'm thinking, this is me. I'm in the back seat. He's speeding. I'm like, he trying to take me in an alley somewhere. Really? And so I'm a little uncomfortable. So I'm noticing, I'm looking at the GPS. It's telling him to go this way. He's going this way. And I'm like, wait a minute. You taking me out of my way. I know I curse like a sailor, but
I do too.
There's sometimes you just don't curse. And this one time was that. Hey, look, y'all. I'm only going by what the GPS, yo. No real shit.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, okay, I'm great.
Oh. Like real shit? Really?
Wow.
Say you cussing?
Wow.
Trying to get my butt?
Yeah, this the man that holds it down. Mr. Showtime, D the Boss. Check us out every Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on Be Exposed Radio.
Late 40s, early 50s. That's not uncommon. It's a lot of. I mean, I can give you examples like that.
But it's a good thing he's dead because she can actually move on. Like, you can't move on. If he was alive, if he was alive and she found out she was having sex with her father for 15 years, you can't move on from that. Somebody's got to die.
You can't. It's gonna be hard.
Somebody's got to die.
So wait, that means he didn't know either, though.
Immediately, so I can stop vomiting because I don't have nothing else left to vomit. All my insides, all my skeleton.
He didn't know either. That's what would be the crazy part.
Well, he wouldn't. He still doesn't know because he's dead. How does that game go? Marry, screw, kill? How does that work when it's your dad? Oh my gosh, we talk about stuff like this and more every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Talk Lately, the radio show. Only on BeExposedRadio.com and on YouTube live where you can see us.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/therightseat. That's safercar.gov/therightseat.
A message from the...
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
One, they feel that it's not important, they're not valued, and most people say, well, who's going to read my story?
Right.
But until you tell your story's not for you.
It's not, and that's what I had to learn.
It's for somebody else, to help somebody else, because if we look at history and all the people that are important, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, and if their story wasn't told, we would be lost.
Right. Some of us wouldn't feel that inspiration.
Right. But I think with you, it's just...
welcome back to the Artist Exchange radio show here. Because they was like, I ain't telling them the last time, so I'm going to tell them this time. We're here on the Artist Exchange. If you want to call in, join them, ask some more questions, 410-702-5657, or you can text us at 443-642-9403. The phone lines are now open, so definitely feel free to call in and ask our panel of authors their opinion. But before we go any further, where can we buy the book? Where can people send their checks to buy the book?
Okay, you can go to www.newhorizonpub.com. Go there, click on the web store link. then click on the image of the book, and it'll give you information.
Ms. Woodard, where can we purchase this book?
Okay, you can. If you're on Facebook, you can inbox me on Facebook, or you can hit me up on Facebook, and I will send you the direct link. Because there are 20 authors.
Hold the mic closer to you. I'm sorry.
Because there are 20 authors, we have our own direct link. And so if you inbox me, you can also email me at designpurposely@yahoo.com, and I can get you the link to order the book.
There we go.
Okay, my book is available on Amazon.com. But if you would like, and you are on my Facebook page, just hit me up. I can get you a copy. And also, I have a website, author Renee McDonald, R.C. McDonald, in which you can purchase the book.
So, being a writer, everybody in this room felt the need to be a writer. When did you know you wanted to get paid for it? Or is everybody at that point yet?
I don't even know if I wanted to be a writer. I think it was just that I needed to get the story out. And then along with that, you know, Renee and I had a discussion this morning about, I just wanted to tell a story. Money wasn't even in my head at the time.
Our minds. Right.
Although it's coming along with it, which is a good thing. That wasn't my initial thought. My initial thought was I needed to get the story out to help somebody else.
Okay. Yeah. So you started with that purpose in mind?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Because I'd always known that was my purpose. My spiritual gift is the gift of exhortation.
Okay. Okay. Them $15 words.
And encouraging folks. And I've always been doing it. I've always been walking in it. But you know, you do it so naturally when it's your gift that you don't realize that you're doing it.
How far past your healing were you, or were you past your healing in making that decision?
That was part of the healing process.
Okay.
That's good.
Getting it down, writing it down. Like you said, you're journaling. I didn't journal.
Okay.
I knew what I needed to say. It actually started, I had to do a women's conference at my church, and I taught a workshop. And that was the beginning of it. That was the beginning. And then I said, wow, the response was so great from the workshop. I said, okay, more people need to hear my story. And that's when I decided to write it down so that the world could hear it and see it.
And that's impressive to me, because in the moment, I'm a planner. I have to plan everything because I'm a procrastinator. So I have to plan everything out so it doesn't. That would be scary to me, because I would be afraid of what would come out. Because, you know, in that process, you just start emptying yourself. Anything can come out.
But see, that's
and once it hits the page, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
But see, that's where the editing, that's where you, for me, I had an outline. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I knew the points that I wanted to hit.
Right.
So I just put it down.
Okay.
And then
so you outlined it first.
Absolutely. I went back and I looked at it and I said, okay, no, I don't want to say it that way. Because when you talked about being offensive to other people and not wanting to hurt people, then I had to go back and tweak the words. I had to go back and minimize some things.
So it matched up with your healing, because you said being accusatory, because some people are still stuck in that.
Yes,
so that matches up with what their words are. When you read certain people, you can tell this person not over it yet.
Absolutely. Right.
You know, this person's still in it right now, or they're so far past it, because they speak it in terms of it being like a distant memory and not something that's like on their shoulders at this point.
Yeah.
So was that the process? Or?
Yeah, I would say that, like I said, writing the story was coming out of it. Like I consider myself coming out of that pit that I talked about.
Right. That was the final hump.
That was the final hump.
Okay.
And that was, like I said, the final stages of the healing process, which brought about, and I can't tell, you're trying to get me to tell you this whole book. I can't do that.
I'm good at what I do,
There were some things that happened along the way.
She did, right?
There were some things that happened along the way that was part of the healing process.
Gotta make them comfortable. But that's still a process that most people are not ready for yet, or they think they're not ready for yet. But they don't realize there's a lot of people who are at the phase where you were, where once they get it out, it's done. I'm at a phase. Something happened when I turned 30 that my lips got loose, and I just was like, I got to tell people the truth, because I was holding it in, and I was hurting myself. You know how you physically feel like I was getting numbness in my arm, and 4 years ago my mother had a stroke, and I was 30, and I said I can't hold stuff in no more. Like I got, and I'm not
stress
just
is powerful.
Right, I'm not gonna be disrespectful. That's what a stroke is.
Yeah.
You're eating and your stress level combine, and it explodes literally. And you know, it was just something about telling the truth. Like I can't hold it inside anymore because I'm doing more damage to us and to myself than I would be, you know, just trying to spare somebody else's feelings. And I don't want to be malicious or disrespectful to anybody, but I also don't want to die in the process or earlier than what I had to, because I want to protect your heart, because maybe you're in the wrong. You know, maybe I'm in the wrong, and I just got to get this out so it's not piling up, creating trash and toxic chemicals in me physically, and you don't want that in you. So telling the truth and telling your story is a necessity in life.
Absolutely. And also what happens is it allows that person to look at it and say, wow, I didn't know that was the effect that I was having, because we can have a dialogue and it may go tit for tat, but when you look at it in black and white, it sinks in a little bit better, because now you can't argue with the pages.
Right.
You're just going to look at it, and it's either going to be, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, this is how he or she really felt.
Right.
So,
and then the whole story, you can start piecing together the story, because some people who are stuck in that repeat phase where they keep doing the same thing. Once you get it out, then you're like, oh, okay, now I see why I keep doing this.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna take a quick break. See, this is not just any old conversation. That's why I love talking to the authors. I always work with Ms. Pance Johnson with this, because this is very is needed, and most authors don't get this opportunity to get this part of themselves out, so we can connect it to their stories. So don't forget the African American Authors and Empowerment Expo, October the 7th. These awesome individuals will be there October the 7th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Morgan State University in the Student Center. So definitely come on out. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange radio show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Check out what you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
It doesn't say alleged anywhere in here.
This is the wrong song to play underneath this topic.
They're saying 4 years ago, according to a $20 million lawsuit, the plaintiff, who was also not named, met Charlie Sheen in Las Vegas on April the 1st, 2011. The sleaze suit claimed that Sheen entered into a nefarious plot designed to lure plaintiffs into a luxurious hotel room to serve his prurient desires. Sensationally, it was alleged that Sheen... Say what?
Say perverted.
No, it's prurient.
Let me see. Can I where's the point to the word? Right. Prurient.
It's hard. It makes me want to gag. Like cock. Get it? Sensationally, it was alleged Sheen told the man he had no venereal diseases. At that point, they watched the porn and engaged in mutual oral compilation, mutual self-gratification, rubbing and massaging each other, play wrestling, licking, and unprotected intercourse. So, Look, my question to my 3 people here at my panel, are they trying to say, because that's when they said he got this disease 4 years ago, or virus, HIV, 4 years ago, are they trying to say that he got it from gay sex? Probably.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That's what it seems.
Consensus of the room is
not all the female prostitutes that he was doing. It was the guy.
Just they interjected just one guy in there.
You know what that is? That's Sheen having a very good publicist. That's
yeah,
what that is.
Partly, but partly this is the guy.
That's the best story you could come out with.
Yeah, right. This is the story that made the rest of these stories explode, basically.
Check out the Talk Lately show every Tuesday nights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice Products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out Pink Ice Products today.
Hey everybody, check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired radio show.
Focus on the word take for a moment.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, when I begin to just, think about.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
And common and what's in life with people.
Now I was go ahead.
We're back here on the Artist Exchange radio show here on BeExposedRadio.com talking about getting to know each other. And these individuals are definitely, I have good interviews and I have bad interviews, and I have interviews where people make it tough and make my job hard, but this has been very easy. I like people who tell their truth and not afraid to express it. And who does that better but authors? You really paint your pictures. One of the questions that I always have for authors, what's your limit? What won't you write about? What won't you put into a book? Or what won't you share? Because some people still journaling, but what won't you share in that book form? Like, what are the things that are off limits?
I would say I would not put in a book anything that someone else maybe experienced, and it's devastating, or it's so personal to that person that it could cause harm to that person. Now, not even in a fictitious way, not even in an exaggerated way. I would never do that.
So things your friends talk about, it's not going to end up in a book one day.
Oh, no, okay. I would never do that. Never do that, no.
Integrity, that's integrity.
Well, I was going to either coin a very famous poet and all. I don't think we have to use profanity to get our point across. You'll never see that in my books.
Okay.
And it was some offensive words, the N word and stuff in the original parts of the copies. But then I came to the complete trilogy when I redone it. I struck it completely out of the novel. So there is nothing of that. So I won't go there, with any kind of profanity, or I just don't. And that was Malcolm X. You don't have to use profanity to get your point across. So,
Miss Woodard, Miss Tammy.
Well, I kind of agree with both Renee and Lloyd. And Lloyd.
He don't have a hat on, so you can't.
I know we didn't recognize him after he took his hat off.
Took the fedora.
Definitely profanity. My goal is not to hurt anyone, but sometimes there are things that need to be said, but they can be said in a way where the message goes across. It's a lesson and people understand. Right. For me, my purpose is more of encouraging. So when you're encouraging and you have integrity, there's just certain things that you are not going to do. Because at the end of the day, my children are watching me. So I have, whatever I do, I have to be careful with my walk.
And your words, because sometimes children don't remember stuff, but they remember words.
Yes,
and they
from a very young age.
Yeah, and it comes to all of us. Like, it's something that an aunt or uncle said to us, and it either was a bad thing or a good thing, but we remember it.
Right. Yeah.
And most times it's the negative stuff that we remember.
That's correct. Yes.
Because
Right.
that's what we hang on to because it's attached
It's emphasized.
to a feeling.
Right.
Yes.
Emphasized.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's I definitely understand that because people are, and it's not about somebody watching, but what image of you do you want to put out there?
Absolutely.
And it doesn't match that.
Right.
You know, a lot of my contemporaries, a lot of individuals that do what I do now as a radio, they'll say your show is this, or you need to do spice it up, and it's just that's not me.
Right.
I'm not a spiced up person.
Right.
I'm a happy person. I'm a creative energy, so I don't need to. You know, I'm not going to have the latest whoever on here because she got butt injections.
Yeah,
That's not,
right.
I don't care about that. That's not valuable to me.
Right.
That's her story. I value that. If she wants to come on and talk about life, you know, what it meant to her or her creativity or, you know, being an entrepreneur, we can talk about that. But I don't care about stuff that don't matter to me.
Right.
And I'm not going to do it for the sake of likes or ratings.
Yeah.
We're in a generation and a period of time where that is more important.
Right.
You know, our president cares more about what people feel about him on Twitter than his job. That's
Right.
And that's a grown man doing that. So, you know, nobody is exempt from it. But I only do stuff that means something to me. Plays, the plays that I choose. Because I can audition for anything, but it's up to me to accept it at the end of the day. And I'm not going to take something because it's going to put food on my table today. You know, that's I'm really focused on my integrity in the last couple of years.
Well, you know, you asked that question before the break that did we do this for money? And I know Renee had said something, but I was want to reflect on that. No, I was in corporate America as a manufacturing guy, and I was downsized. That was the new firing term in the 90s. So I was sitting at home. Yeah, you're down. You're not fired. You're downsized.
Now you're just laid off.
Yeah. You know.
Pretty much you go jump off a bridge.
Right, that's right. Exactly.
Well, it was compassionate. They said, look, we're going to continue to give you your pay.
Severance.
To a point. There you go. It was severance. You're getting away from here, right? But we're gonna let you kind of ease down to it. So I sat at home, and the fact is,
you need to do this, sir.
I sat home for a minute, but we started a business, and actually we own a limousine company.
Okay.
I've been doing it for 24 years now, and actually we got it up for sale here shortly because I want to retire. But I'm sitting at home, and I come out of corporate America, and I do this story. So it was never about the money, is my point. It was never about the money. The money is the result of what we're doing, and we see that as it comes along, but it was never like a scheme to sit down and, I do this, and then I can make that. And although I'm a numbers guy and maybe a business person, but I never thought of it in that regard. And here's the funny part. When they started saying, you know what, we want to have this book, and it's in Morgan, it's actually in Delaware State University. A couple of professors over there, Dr. Well, she's not a doctor yet, but Ava Perrine, Professor Perrine, and then you have Dr. Harris Church.
And she owe money towards it. That's what she is.
Yeah, and she is. So they got it into the mass comm and into the English department. And so once that happened, and I started seeing that part, I was like, somebody really want. You know, and then,
how much a textbook costs?
you know, and so that was surprising and also rewarding. And so, guess what? You know, they said, well, business is what you do. So we just turned into a New Horizon as a publishing company I created, and so we're at it again.
Yeah.
But I had no interest in doing it for the money.
It's a difference between chasing the profit versus the passion.
Yes,
right, and that's what it is with us.
Passion.
There you go. That's what it is for me.
Right, we enjoy it.
It's about a passion.
Right,
I love it.
It's more of a passion.
I love it.
Yes.
And the challenge then becomes, then how do I make a living doing
this?
Yeah, right.
Because it never will be a chore because it's something that's naturally coming from you.
Right.
And if you're not getting paid, you'll still do it. Sandra Rhimes did an interview, and she said writing is the only job you could never be fired from.
Absolutely.
Right. Like you can just write and nobody has to ever read it.
That's right.
You can write and write and post it and whatever you want to do with it. But that's the only job that you could never be fired
Never
from.
be fired.
And for me, I'll take it passion. If you're following your passion, you can never be fired
from
your passion because you'll do it whether somebody is paying you or you finding the money yourself.
Right, exactly.
Like, and that's this. You know, that's why I love writers. I really have a lot of respect because you all have a focus that is just getting the truth out there.
Right.
You know, so in terms of you writing, Mr. Wheatley, Mr. Lloyd, in terms of you, the next book, what is the next book about?
Oh, that's good. It's quintuplets, and it's a murder mystery.
Oh, that's my next one as well.
It's going to be cast actually in Baltimore, and is because
you say cast because I'm an actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's them growing up. You know, a lot of what my experience was. You know, I was born here in Johns Hopkins and grew up. But it's going to deal with sibling rivalry and dealing with a lot of things. So what I was able to do is frame since there's quintuplets, there are 5. You know, we have 6 senses, and then we have certain emotions. So the challenge is to take one of the characters, let's say that person sees a lot, but they're envious. And so you have to make sure if you say that Deborah is going to be this character, then you have another one that has, taste, but they have greed is an issue for them. So you have to, when you marry those together, and you're talking about each character, you want to keep that straight, because once you get into the narrative or to the story, and then this individual comes on the scene, you're going to go, oh man, what? Is Deborah coming in the room? Oh my God, it's going to be, we know what's going to happen now, but we have to set up the situation. Now what happens pretty much is that you're going to be surprised who the murderer is. It has to deal with one of them being a black sheep in the family. The other 4 really dog them. I mean,
so do all kinds of the siblings.
Do all the things you're not supposed to. The no's, don't date my boyfriend. Don't do the. Oh, we going there. Okay, they're doing all these things, right? And it comes through the Motown sound and the era of that fun, and all the way up to current day. And I can't tell you if the murder's going to get caught or not. But
you gotta come see it.
It's gonna be unlikely. It's an unlikely character.
There's 3 for you.
And a surprise of who it's gonna be, and it's not the butler. So okay, not the butler.
Where did this story come from?
That was all. I actually did a photo shoot with my daughter and her friends 14 years ago, and I moved. And I lost the pictures, so I did a pilot piece of it. A little bit of a summary of it, and I sent it to my brother. His name is Clark Nelson. He's here in Baltimore, and he read it, and he put it away for about almost a decade or so, and then it resurrects itself and comes to me, and I read it, and I go, wow. So I want to finish the story, but all the girls in it grew up, and I went out and bought all the clothes and stuff at a secondhand store, so they were dressed like, you ever seen the Pointer Sisters, an album they had back when they was dressed in the
I remember, with the hats and
they were all dressed like that, just alike. Had the gloves and everything. Did all these photos. Well, now they're all grown. They're in their 30s. They were in their 50s. They were teenagers back then. So I have to redo the photos. And when I saw the pictures, and I said, when I saw the pictures, I was like, we have got to do this story. And so that's what we're doing. In fact, it's in draft.
Okay.
And
so I have to be one of the outside characters because they're all women in the play. Okay.
No, hey, whatever you have.
You disappointed him.
No, he's not.
I'm looking for possibilities. You gotta get in.
You gotta get in, and there's plenty of room. The backdrop will be Baltimore, so you have the original landscape and all that, the historical pieces of it. You don't have to go out and create it.
Will it be in time, or you try to pull it forward?
It's going to be we're going to be pulling it forward to current. So we're going to take you from it's my timeline. So since I'm living and I'm a witness to it, there's a lot of fact in it, so it's going to be a lot of that. And interesting, Renee was talking about her current book. In the 60s, and dealing with the Panthers and all that, and in that era when we had the riots in '68. So isn't it interesting to be alive and was able to say I was there to see it and actually came through it, and because it was a different time. Unlike today, I think when you have the current thing where you have a split country, and we know this being true with black and white issues and all that. Blacks, I think then, and I can say we were more unified because we took care of our neighborhoods.
That's an
we did care about our children.
Yes.
We did care about our neighborhoods because we actually policed them. So that's what the Black Panthers were.
We had more unity and more pride.
Absolutely.
Right, and you'll see that in the book as well. You'll see the unity
give
amongst
somebody
us.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Pride can sometimes be, you know,
Yes.
a byproduct or something that you can toss away. Unity can be something.
Yes.
Because I become more self
Right.
than, you know, than us or
Right.
we. The ensemble is now disbanded. The more I get, the more opportunity I get. And we see that in children-parent relationships. When the parents get more opportunity,
yes,
you know, they'll push their children to the
Right.
side. And that's sad, but we doing that more. So I think it's pride and unity that I miss. Because I remember hearing about it, and because 80s babies, it was kind of a little all over the place. I think that was a period where things got fuzzy, but it still was. You had pride in what things looked like. You had people sweeping. I remember scrubbing steps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Baltimore was famous for his marble steps. Now, you know, my son called me from Kuwait the other day. He's over there as a contractor, and he calls me from Kuwait, and he said, "Dad, let me ask you this question." He said, "You know, I'm trying to figure out what was it like to be living back in that time compared to what we see now? How do you and Mom go through this stuff?" And so a small history, but he was so intrigued by what I was saying to him, because he said, I can't imagine experiencing that, because when I went to school, there was white kids in my class, you know, and I was just sitting with them like you was at Archbishop Curley. He's like, it was normal, so I couldn't imagine. We had people from you know, overseas, France, and different countries in my classroom. To see something segregated so much, that's amazing. And I said, I said, but that was the reality.
Yep.
And then enough parents, because my mother, I think she couldn't go to Douglas or Emerson when she was growing up.
Where did she go?
She went to it was a school down off of like Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't remember the name of the school, but I remember towards the end of her high school year, she was able to go to Emerson. But for some reason, she couldn't go to Douglas as a freshman or a sophomore. At the time, it wasn't segregated, or there was an issue with that. But I remember she told me bits and pieces of that. So we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com.
I remember
that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Monty from Talk Lately. I want y'all to sit back and listen to this flashback. We be tripping.
I mean, really, but I mean, he might have. I got him maybe jacking her up.
The kids said he did it.
But this is Floyd Mayweather punching her head repeatedly, and like she doesn't have like brain damage.
No, she wasn't have brain damage. I don't think he was hitting her like that. Or he probably was like, say something else. Say something else.
That
he probably wasn't like tagging her.
Right.
He probably was just like, and the kids was like, Daddy.
Why do they have the accent? Why do his kids have the accent?
I just pictured them looking like Africans. I didn't want to have to admit that. I don't know what they're going to do about my mouth, but just check out the show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's
Check
more
out
of the
this
same
flashback
right here
from
on
Talk Lately with Monty only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
All is well. I was just talking. I heard you talking about the climate and everything. So what do you think is like signs of the times?
Yeah, it could be.
No, it's not signs. I don't believe God is a woman. She ain't coming back no time soon. She's taking her time.
I like your thinking. She's a woman.
Say it again.
I said I like your thinking. She's a woman. She's smart.
Yeah, she's a woman. Women want to take their time. The thing is, you shouldn't be ready for God to come back. You should just get yourself ready. Period.
True. Be prepared.
Always.
I gotta make sure I go buy a boat this weekend then, because these floods ain't no joke.
Buy a boat.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna flood the city. If it do flood the city, maybe it wash away some of this crime.
But look, I live in Federal Hill. I live right next to the water. I'm next.
Okay, well that's fine. That's fine. You be next. You buy your boat. Federal Hill need to go down anyway.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
I know. He's going to give somebody something before we leave here today.
Okay.
He can write you in as the radio announcer.
That's right.
Like how Steve Harvey was in the Fight Temptations. So
But see, and being an entrepreneur, I've had to learn how to be that person that I'm not pushy. But I'm going to remind you of the talent because I got to pay Sally Mae back. So I can't be passive about my creativity anymore.
You got that right.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live on BeExposedRadio.com. It's me, your host, Nate. We're in the building with Mr. Lloyd, Miss Tammy, Miss Renee, 3 other authors from the African American Authors and Empowerment Expo that will be happening October the 7th at Morgan State University from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't get there late. Please don't get there late because there are plenty of giveaways, there are awesome workshops, and then you get to meet all of these phenomenal artists. And it's tons. I think it was about 60, 70 last year. And phenomenal. So when I come there, I'll be there live. We're doing our show live that day from 12 to 2. But after that, we'll be doing plenty of interviews with the rest of the artists and other authors that didn't get a chance to come and do the show during the summertime. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked for that. We'll put more information on our website about that. So as we close out, we have 2 more segments left, this one and the next one. So in this segment, I always ask this question. What advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? It's that time period where things start, the veil is being lifted, the world's starting to get real, you starting to see patterns more, and not so much to change anything, but what advice would you give them as an option? So when they do fall, if they do fall, they know, how to brace themselves or get back up.
First of all, I would say at 17, you really need to look towards the future, but also you have to enjoy the present. So don't get yourself involved in something that's going to interfere with your future. You can go out and have fun with your friends and stay out of trouble, no kids, all that. Just enjoy life, but start preparing for your future. Stay in school, whether it's trade school, whether it's college. Get some type of training to prepare you for the real world. All right? There will be ups, there will be downs. You can get through the downs. You can, enjoy the ups. But don't let one period of satisfaction make you feel as though you've hit the top. There's always another level in which you can go to.
So being 17, was that the issue you walked into?
I was more of a sort of a, people would say, I guess, a goody two-shoes. So I did pretty much everything that was expected of me. Graduated from high school, pretty high in my class, and went on to college, and just did things, I guess, the way in which parents would want you to do it. So 17 was fun. I enjoyed it. So didn't have too many downs, and pretty much had fun in school, and still have a lot of friends from high school. Really enjoy them now.
Miss Tammy, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
I would say to my 17-year-old self, don't be afraid to be who you are. I would say discover your purpose early on instead of just kind of doing what you think you should be doing based on what your parents may want you to do as far as go to school. My thought process was to go to college, get a good education, and get a job. So I majored in an area where I knew I would make money, which was computer science, but that wasn't my passion.
Did you know your passion at that point?
I didn't, and I talk about that in the book. I talk about how I didn't know my identity, and that means not knowing who I was as a person, and I think that had a lot to do with the adoption, being a foster child. But if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would say discover who you are, definitely have that mirror experience and looking into it, and I don't think I was ever the type to try to fit in. I've always stood out. You know, they always kind of call me the grandma or the mama of the group. I've always been my own person, but when I look back on it, I still didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
So one of the
you were still fitting into somebody else's image of yourself.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I teach I just moved to South Carolina, but when I was here in Maryland, I was teaching it's a youth Christian Bible study program called Ayanna. And one of the things that we were doing high school and junior high. And one of the things I impressed upon the kids is to ask God, what is my purpose? If someone had told me that early on, to focus on discovering what your purpose is, because we walk around, you know, we're just like the little hamster on the wheel going around and around in circles, just doing things over and over and not understanding why we're not moving forward. And that's one of the things that I expressed to them. At some point, find out what your purpose is. You know, don't just go to school because daddy or mommy said be a lawyer. You know, figure out what it is. If you're an artist, okay, well, maybe I should major in, you know, the fine arts or whatever. You know, try to figure out what it is that...
Well, that's why you can't declare major your first year.
Absolutely.
Because they want you to explore.
But see, people don't even with that being said, people may not declare a major, but they still have no clue about who they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about your life and how you went through things, but now you're starting to come into your own and figure out what it is that you want to be. If I had to go back and tell my younger self, and which I tell my kids now, find out what your purpose is, your passion, the thing that you like to do most, and I think you will be a whole lot happier throughout life.
Just try things. I in middle school, one of my best friend from middle school, I remember being in a car with him and his mother, and she was so happy that I tried out for the soccer team our first time out, and he didn't. And she was just like, I wish he would just try more, just try things.
But maybe that wasn't his passion. Maybe he didn't want to.
Right, but you'll never know that if you don't at least... You're in middle school. What else you got to do? Like, just at least try it and quit it. But don't say it, because my friend is the type of person, he has a lot of regrets now because he did everything he was supposed to do. He went through school, got good grades, got out of college, paid for his car a year and a half, got his own home. He did everything he was supposed to do, and now he's 34 and don't know what he want to be.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about, discovering your purpose. Because you can do everything
that you're supposed to do.
Mom and daddy said, go to school, get that education. But I try to instill in my boys, figure out what your purpose is, what your passion is, and do that. All I want is for you to be successful.
Right.
So if I had to go back, you know, like you said, and tell my younger self, I wouldn't be 47 just figuring out what my purpose is.
And even if you were, you would be a lot ahead with organizing what you wanted to do, because there's no time frame on it. There's no ticking time bomb on it, but it is, you know, you have to start trying things.
That's right.
You know, that same friend, he now finds enjoyment out of putting together music mixes and putting them on like YouTube. And that's a DJ to me. You know, I try to get him to do mixes for my parties. Like, it took him to be 34 to realize, and he was always what was the magazine, Word Up, or all those music magazines. He was always the one with his CDs in his, you know, his headphones on. It was just me and him. He got his headphones on, and I'm sitting there like.
But in his defense, though, when you're 17, the world is so big to you. Okay, and you've been under mom and dad's or whoever you're living with roof. And they've pretty much been dictating life to you. So you may not know exactly what you want to do. Right. I mean, most of us didn't start writing until much later.
And that's a partnership, because now as a parent or a teacher or a guardian a friend, I noticed those things in him. And I never said, why don't you just do music? Or why don't you explore that a little bit more? But he went and learned foreign languages and traveled, and 34, he's just discovering, I want to play with music. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we waste so much time with our young people that we don't force them to try stuff. So we'll go quick because we're about to get out this segment. Lloyd, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
My 17-year-old self, I pretty much echo what Tammy and Renee said, but I did try a lot of things. I was, did different stuff, but my core was, I always talked about, I remember hearing about a 5-year plan, and that 5-year plan was where you are now and where you like to be in 5 years.
Scary.
Because you have to have some idea so you can at least try to hone in on some things. Mine was make sure I kept education was the key. Education was the key. Education was the key. Didn't know how. Didn't have any money. Couldn't afford to go to college. But the GI Bill allowed that to happen for me when I went in the military and got some different things. But I was a team. I was in a group. We were singing in talent shows around Baltimore.
So you can sing.
All kinds of
Okay, right.
The music and everything that you remember the show used to be on.
Yeah,
the show was Name That Tune. And I was so much into it that you can do the one note. I got it. You know, is found love on a two-way street by the Moments. That's it.
So were you the drummer? Were you the singer?
I was a singer. And
don't skirt past that, sir.
the group was a black movement band and singers. We had a part of it was us, 4 or 5 of us, 5 then 4. The one guy, Billy, went to the college, but Leroy, myself, and Adrian, and Daryl, and our manager, we used to do shows every Friday night at the VFW Club on Golfin and North Avenue. But we was all around town. Our rivals, we never got to, you know, we were always running towards the Shades formation. Damon Harris sang in the Shade from us, went to the Temptations. He was, you know, one of my biggest idols back there. We used to doo-wop and sing in the alleys.
Did you ever open up for anybody?
Yeah. No, we never did that. But we would often try to run some people. I'll say you had the Whatnots, Frankie and the Spindles, and I'm dating some things here. They were Baltimore groups, the Soft Tones, Marvin Gaye, all those guys, and so we was in that era, but we were moving that way. And the closest we got, we won the grand prize on Showcase 13. It was a local talent show with Anthony was the host from Win Radio, and that got you a chance to go to T-Net Records. But we were the Isley Brothers was doing all that, and we never got to that because we got too old. We were 19 years old, and our parents were like, "Get out the house! You're eating too much food, not making any money." So excuse me,
we gotta convince
but
them.
we had to turn around.
Yeah.
But you know what? In true reflection, though, you look at Unsung, and you go, "Wow."
That was their similar story.
Yeah, that was a similar story.
I remember going. My stepdad passed away a couple years ago, and I found out at the funeral that he was. When you said Billy, it made me think about him because he was in a like Temptation style group.
That's how we were. We would do that, and all that was us.
And it that was shocking to me because you know Billy was
all
like
right,
starting.
Now, we got a little.
I know, I hear it.
Go ahead.
You never know who's listening.
Friends,
it's your chance.
Come on,
well, gee, I mean, I guess.
You said
you was already
singer,
doing
sir.
it. Go ahead.
I got so many dancing through my head.
See now he's on the spot. He can't.
I know. I can't. You know, bring me. What was the Temptations' earliest? The first one is the way you do the things you.
I wasn't there.
Oh, you wasn't there?
I know what you're talking about. Let's hear it.
I can't even remember.
Come on, don't be scared now.
I'm trying to. What's the name?
You put him on the spot.
Your second win.
Yeah.
I know. I can't even think of it.
We are patient.
It's like you look so fine. The way you do the thing.
Yeah.
You can remember that.
I'm not going to sing for you.
No.
Go right. Don't try to make me sing.
You got your pimp? I see the goal too. If I know he was harmonizing. We'll get you in the break. And
all
then
right.
We'll come back and think about it. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back here with our last segment on the Artist Exchange radio show only on BeExposedRadio.com. Don't go anywhere.
Ladies, are you in need of the best quality hair extensions, a cute outfit, or that perfect pair of shades? Pink Ice products can cover you from head to toe, from flawless weaves to apparel. Visit us online at pinkiceproducts.bigcartel.com. We're located at 3000 Old Alabama Road, 119-303, Alpharetta, Georgia. Or give us a call at 470-488-6484. Come on in and check out pinkiceproducts.com. today.
Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange radio show.
That's the biggest thing, is just empowerment. Just get off of the begging line. Just be proud and just get our pride and our dignity back, because as a child, we're taught how to go and beg for a job. Our parents, they literally taught us how to make sure you pull your pants up. Me, I'm 6'7", so I'm a bigger man. I was always taught how to not be threatening or intimidate people when I go into different interviews or different scenarios. And so we're literally taught how to condition ourselves, condition our speech, everything, in order to go and beg these people for a job, because we know when we walk in the door, I have to tear down 10 stereotypes before I get past hello. So we need to eliminate that. You know, and we need to eliminate that, and the way that we do that is employing ourselves and employing our brothers and sisters. And so that's our mission, is group economics, uplift ourselves, because I can't empower anyone until I empower myself, and change from just being women, because it's in my heart and my passion to see my people succeed and see us do better and change the social order, because I know that we are not supposed to be on bottom. I understand who I was. I know I didn't fall out of the sky and land on a plantation. So when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and what you come from, it's frustrating more than anything to see us in this position.
Tune into the Artist Exchange every Friday 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. live on BigExposedRadio.com.
Lately is back on May 17th at 7 p.m. only on BigExposedRadio.com. Oh, okay, yeah. Also on YouTube. I know the latest killing. Why would you see me recording? Oh my God. You a hard-headed hoe. Yo.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement. Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know they're probably just a little bit nervous. You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up! Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, check out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired radio show.
I'm just thankful this year I've dealt with, you know, some growing pains, and I've overcome some things, and I've also, you know, accomplished some things in the process. I've learned some things. Like, yes. I've learned I learned that everybody loves your work until they got to pay for it. That's what I learned. That's what I learned.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange radio show here live on BeExposedRadio.com. We've had a phenomenal conversation. It was like catching up with old friends a little bit here on the Artist Exchange today. We have Miss Renee, we have Miss Tammy, and we have Mr. Lloyd here, and they're representing the African American Authors and Empowerment Expo that will be on October the 7th. Shout out to Miss Patricia Johnson. But Miss Patricia Johnson, who puts on this phenomenal expo every year that gives authors and people who like to read and people who like to write an opportunity to meet each other, network, and learn some things. There's also an empowerment component to it where you learn finances, health, and wellness. And it's always something. She always gives a surprise. Last year, Prodigy from Mobb Deep. Unfortunately, he passed away this year, but that was her surprise last year. He had a cookbook He served some time in jail, and in jail he utilized his time and became a chef. So he came and told his story, shared his music industry knowledge as well as his knowledge on the criminal justice system, and it was phenomenal. So every year she has a little trick in her hat that she pulls out and she lets it. So Pat Johnson does a lot of good work for not only authors and writers, but artists in general. She gives a lot of emphasis and possibility to individuals that vend, that have products that they want to sell. She does a lot of vending events. So shout out to Miss Pat Johnson for continuing to help individuals be closer to where they want to be and give them the platform to be able to showcase and network with others. So in this segment, we're going to kind of close it out, and we're going to give all the authors an opportunity to sum up their book, give you the information on how to get to their book and how you can find them. So we'll start with Miss Renee.
Okay, my book, No Peace for Kimberly, is a historical fiction. It's available on Amazon.com or through my website, author R.C. McDonald, or you can hit me up on Facebook and we'll get a copy to you. I'm working on my second book, which is sort of a sequel to this, but not really. Just a couple of the characters will be moved to a mystery setting. So one of the characters in the book, which is the main character's brother, will become a detective and will be solving mysteries down in a small town called Fernandina Beach, Florida, which is a place where I love to go every year. So
that's a reason of going right there.
Yes, yes. So hopefully that book will be out sometime in January time frame. Looking forward to seeing everyone in October, and it was great being here today.
Okay. Miss Tammy Woodard.
Yes. My book, I am the co-author of Soul Talk. I'm the co-author of Soul Talk, which is an anthology of 20 women, and we're giving our personal testimonies of the obstacles that we have overcame. In order to purchase this book, you can inbox me or hit me up on Facebook at Tammy Woodard, or also on Instagram at Tammy Teaches. My next project is an anthology. It's entitled Beyond Her Reflection. We're in the process of writing that anthology right now. If any of you have a story to tell, it's not too late to jump on board. You can hit me up on Facebook at Tammy Woodard or Instagram. The book is scheduled to be released in December or early January. My next book signing will be on Saturday, August 26th at the Gospel Explosion at Temple of Praise in Chester, South Carolina. So all you Chester, South Carolina and North Carolina family, if you have not purchased your ticket for the Gospel Explosion, I need you to do so. It is $10 and you can contact Wade Young to get your ticket. I look forward to seeing you there.
There we go. Mr. Lloyd?
Yes,
He's
yes,
nervous
sir.
because he got to sing it.
No, yes. It's Blaine Hawk, U.S. Marshal, the complete trilogy. You want to look for the complete trilogy. That is available on newhorizonpub.com. Click on the web store link, and it'll take you to the book, and then you can go follow the steps from there. The next book I'm doing is called Between My Sisters and Me, which is a murder mystery of quintuplets that grew up in the city of Baltimore, and they're going to have at the end they're going to be surprised who the actual murderer is. But that's what we're doing now. I'll be in Easton at the Frederick Douglass Celebration Day on September 23rd. That's coming up shortly. Then, of course, October 7th will be at Morgan State University.
There we go. So this has been an awesome show. I love talking to people that create from their own personal experience and not just random out the blue, because it makes it more personal. It makes the story more juicy, and it creates a vehicle for people to be able to do the same thing and actually learn something, get healed, so on and so forth from their creativity. It's not for the purpose of just pushing my stuff onto you. So I thank each of you, Mr. Lloyd, Miss Tammy, Miss Renee, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, we really enjoyed it. It was fun.
And you're always welcome. All three of them will be there, and I'll definitely get a more in-depth story from them the day of. So I'm definitely going to have you all come over to the table, talk to us a little bit the day of. So I wish you all well, much success, much love. And I think I'm just going to let Mr. Lloyd take us out on a little Temptations tune, little ditty.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight. You know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me off your feet. You know you could have been a broom.
Okay.
You know you smell so sweet.
There we go.
You know you could have been some perfume.
So that's enough. You got to buy the album. You got to buy the album. Okay.
1 or 2, and I can tell the way you do the things you do.
See, I should have known. It was a gold tooth and it was a chain carving.
I know.
It was in there, but he hiding in Delaware right now. But it's cool. So thank you again. This has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Next up is Charm City Direct Radio Show. They'll be coming on at 5 o'clock. I'll see you next Friday at 7 p.m. here live on the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Shout out to everybody that continues to support. And last but certainly not least, September the 9th, we'll be celebrating our 3rd year here at Be Exposed Radio. So definitely tune in for that. We have a number of our past guests that will be joining us and giving you some giveaways, some prizes. If you want to sponsor the show, you can definitely hit me up at the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. We have some phenomenal and cost-effective options to advertise your business, your product, your service, your upcoming events. So definitely hit us up, the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. Shout out to Eric and Miss Bren for holding me down today, engineering team. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked in for what's to come. And we'll post these books and how you get to their links on our page afterwards. So shout out, share it, like it. Peace out. That's it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Monty from Talk Lately. I want y'all to sit back and listen to this flashback. We be tripping.
I mean, really, but I mean, he might have. I got him maybe jacking her up.
The kids said he did it.
But punch,